January 15, 1919. Boston's North End bustled as usual. Above, a massive steel tank loomed, holding over 2 million gallons of crude molasses. It was a familiar sight, until that day. Suddenly the ground shook. A deep groan echoed. Rivets shot out like bullets. The tank's steel walls burst apart. With a thunderous roar, a tidal wave of molasses exploded onto Commercial Street. The brown flood surged 25 feet high, moving at 35 miles per hour. It smashed buildings, buckled railway tracks, and swept away everything in its path. Horses and people alike were caught, trapped in the sticky torrent. The sweet smell of molasses filled the air, masking the chaos and terror. There was no escape. The wave was too fast, too powerful. Men, women, and children were pulled under, suffocating in the syrupy grip. The roar faded to a gurgling as molasses filled every crevice. Boston had just witnessed one of the strangest, deadliest disasters in its history. A river of death had poured into its streets. In minutes the neighborhood was unrecognizable. Survivors struggled to free themselves, but the molasses clung tight. The city was left in shock, the devastation unimaginable. The disaster was over as quickly as it began, but its impact would last for years. The North End would never be the same. The Great Molasses Flood had begun. The tank was built in 1915 by Purity Distilling Company quickly, cheaply, and dangerously. It leaked from day one, molasses streaking down its sides. Children collected the drippings, residents complained. The company's solution? Paint the tank brown to hide the leaks. Arthur Gell, the treasurer, not an engineer, oversaw construction and dismissed safety concerns. He ordered leaks caulked but never addressed the real problem. The tank was filled to capacity as the company rushed to profit before prohibition. Safety was ignored. Profit came first. The tank groaned and creaked, warning of disaster. On January 14th, a warm shipment of molasses was added. The next day, temperatures soared, causing the molasses to expand. Pressure inside the thin-walled tank skyrocketed. The laws of physics collided with corporate negligence. Disaster was inevitable. The warning signs were clear, but no one listened. The tank was a ticking time bomb in the heart of Boston. All it needed was a spark. On that fateful day, the spark came. The result was catastrophic. The molasses wave was unstoppable. It slammed into Engine 31's firehouse, collapsing the building and trapping firefighter George Leahy. A freight train car was hurled from the elevated tracks. City workers eating lunch were caught unaware, crushed or drowned. Rescue efforts began, but the molasses was waist-deep and thick as glue. Rescuers and victims alike became stuck, struggling to move. Horses, trapped and suffering, had to be put down. The cold air thickened the syrup, making rescue even harder. 21 people died. Clerks, teamsters, children. Over 150 were injured. Bodies were found days later, coated in brown. The city reeled in shock. The cleanup took months. The sweet smell lingered for weeks. Even years later, residents claimed to smell molasses on hot days. The scars, physical and emotional, ran deep. Boston would never forget. Purity Distilling tried to blame saboteurs, but no one believed them. The truth was clear. The tank had been a disaster waiting to happen. Families demanded justice. Over 100 lawsuits followed, leading to a landmark class action case. Evidence showed the tank was poorly built, never properly inspected, and dangerously thin. The court found United States Industrial Alcohol wholly at fault. The company was ordered to pay massive damages to victims' families. The case set a precedent. Corporations could be held responsible for public safety. New laws required engineers to approve major projects and empowered officials to enforce safety. The Great Molasses Flood changed industrial regulation forever. Boston's tragedy became a warning to the nation. The lesson was clear: profit cannot come before people. The legacy of the flood endures in every safety code and inspection. Out of syrupy disaster came real reform. The North End's pain became America's progress.